Now that our boys are sworn in, we can finally celebrate all the hard work that got them elected. And not only that, that means no more calls, no more texts, and no more ads. It's time to celebrate our victories and heal from our losses. Take as much time as you need to decompress from the last few months and the last 4 years. But now is not the time to tune out for good. Now that Democrats have full control of the government, we must make sure they deliver on their promises without delay, compromise, or loopholes. They can pass whatever they want, but they are going to pass as little as they can get away with. I'll get much more into this in upcoming episodes, but for now, there's something very important I've got to cover for my local area. Hey, I'm Zachary Exum, and welcome to Left Behind. If you live in Spalding, Pike, Upson, or Fayette County, Georgia, election season is not over yet. Our current district attorney, Marie Broder, was not elected, so now there's a special election on February 9th. For many cycles, the Griffin Circuit district attorney was always an unchallenged Republican. But now, a new challenger has appeared, Reverend Dexter Wimbish. Reverend Wimbish has been a defense attorney for over 25 years. He was the youngest general counsel in history for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, which was founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He's served as a judge, and he has a plan to solve the criminal justice problems that face our communities. He aims to end the school-to-prison pipeline, which has systematically sent lower-income and minority kids to prison unjustly, and he plans to increase the use of pretrial diversion programs, which use rehabilitation programs to give people an option other than rotting in a cell for petty crimes or even false accusations. He's helped many kids who have been wrongly prosecuted already as a defense attorney and can use the position of district attorney to save many more lives, keep families whole, and keep our communities safe. Before looking into this race, I didn't know truly how bad of a situation we were in. But after doing some research on Marie Broder, I found a horrifying speech she gave in Fayette County recently. And she is literally introduced with Nazi propaganda.
And all of you know the stories of George Soros funding Democrat, progressive district attorneys all over the country.
My mind is blown. I knew things were bad, but I had no idea it was this bad. 16 seconds into this video and there's already white supremacist, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. All the while, our district attorney is standing there, nodding her head. God help us. I'll link the speech in the description, but she spends her time talking about how she is a prosecutor who wants people to die in prison, and how Fayette County is being infiltrated by gang members from Clayton, Fulton, and Henry counties.
And y'all, Fayette County is still a very good place to live and raise a family. And we need to keep it that way, because the thing that makes Fayette County different than every other county in this circuit is that we're surrounded by counties that criminals are coming into from. Clayton County, Fulton County, and now Henry County.
Can you guess what's different about Fayette County compared to those counties I just listed? Oh, it's majority white. So the first 6 minutes of this video sports white supremacist conspiracy theories about George Soros and saying that your white county is being infiltrated by gang members that she wants to be locked away until they die. She seems nice and sane. During the audience questions, someone brings up the Secretary of State, a Republican mind you, implying that he broke the law by not letting Trump win. You know, I just need 11,000 votes. Marie replies, yes, that's right. So she hates democracy and wanted us to have a dictatorship? I can't believe these people have power. Then a lady says, we've got the same Dominion machines. Once again, Marie goes along with it. You know, The conspiracy theory that the Dominion voting machines were programmed by Hugo Chavez from beyond the grave? Just to rig the presidential part of the election, not all the House seats we lost to Republicans.
So if you lose, our group needs to go and say, look, this was fraud.
Yeah.
She's encouraging this. The same type of behavior that caused our Capitol to be stormed by terrorists. It's disgusting, the race-based lies that she's campaigning on. So the decision here is for the person who decides what happens to people who are arrested or charged with crimes. So imagine, if your child, your friend, or even yourself was tried in court. Who do you want to be deciding their fate? A reverend who is working to end the school-to-prison pipeline and focuses on the issues that cause crime and how to prevent it and better the lives of struggling people instead of just throwing their lives away. Or a racist government appointee who supported Trump and believes in conspiracy theories not based in reality and caused our Capitol to be stormed by terrorists. I think the choice is clear, unless you are also racist and believe in crazy conspiracies. So do you want a Martin Luther King type civil rights leader like Raphael Warnock is? Or Brian Kemp's little helper who will not bat an eye at throwing kids' lives away? It's not like a Democrat couldn't win here either. These counties voted for Trump over Biden by around 22,000 votes. And in the Senate runoff election, Kelly Loeffler only beat Raphael Warnock by just over 2,000 votes. So, since this is an even smaller election, the margin of victory is even closer. If we can turn out just a few thousand more voters, then we can win this thing for Wimbish and save many lives, paving the way for a better, safer, and less bigoted future. A future without a systematically racist justice system, and a future that gives those prosecuted recovery options, rather than a cyclical life of crime and prison time. I know we can do it. I know so many great people who care about others and understand the issues that our world faces today. They live right here in Spalding and Pike County. The good can outweigh the bad. We've just got to work for it. I'd like to end this video with Reverend Wimbish himself talking about why he's running and his plan to tackle the issues that face the Griffin Circuit. All necessary links and information will be in the description. Thank you.
A month ago, I had just been discharged from the hospital after I fought cancer for the second time. 11 years ago, I beat colon cancer, stage 4 colon cancer, against all odds. Last year, I found out that I had prostate cancer and had 4 surgeries over the past year. And so actually in between one of those surgeries, I ended up helping the Spalding County Board of Elections. That became part of a controversy around the election process. And so I found myself just 2 weeks removed from prostate cancer, faced with the notion of answering the calling to run for district attorney. After some 27 years of being on the other side of the aisle, representing probably 1,000 defendants in the last 27 years, seeing a system that treats individuals as if everyone is criminals, knowing that the vast majority of individuals who end up in our courtrooms are people who make mistakes, people who have substance abuse problems, people who have mental health issues. But for 27 years, watching a system target those individuals, place them in jail, and oftentimes throwing away the key. And so when I was asked if I would run for DA, I prayed about it. And the message came back loud and clear, run. At the time, I had no idea that there had not been a Democratic candidate in this district. But I was having a conversation with a minister friend of mine, and he said, Dexter, you know, I didn't even realize that we could vote for the position of district attorney. And what that told me was that in this area, the office of district attorney has been fraught with nepotism. And not necessarily nepotism from a familial standpoint, but from a systematic standpoint. What we have in this system, in this district, are individuals who hold on to power and who make decisions concerning our young people and our family members on a daily basis, not grounded in evidence, but oftentimes grounded in racism, grounded in other preconceived notions as it relates to race, as it relates to poverty, as it relates to class. And I said, you got to get involved, because after 27 years of representing individuals who oftentimes had very little evidence, but prosecutors would bring charges against them, that some would sit in jail for 6 months, and by the time they were able to go before a judge preparing for their trial, they would find themselves pleading out because they didn't want to take the risk of going to trial and losing. That's why we have to have a reform agenda. You talk about Breonna Taylor, you talk about Ahmaud Arbery, you talk about the ability for a DA to look at a set of circumstances and decide to bring charges or not bring charges. That's an awful lot of power, especially when given to people who don't understand that this country belongs to all of us. For 27 years, I've been on the other side. 27 years, I've been fighting against policies that were already in place. In essence, fighting an uphill battle. And this gives me the opportunity to go to the other side and force reform. And I use the word force because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to turn people around and have them understand that we all deserve decency. When the DA decides to prosecute a case, they're not just prosecuting that person, they're prosecuting the family. For 27 years, I've listened to families, I've listened to defendants. Just a few short months ago, I defended a young man who was a junior in high school. And the state brought 2 charges of rape against him. Very, very, very little evidence. He had an attorney that tried to plead the case out, and within 10 days of being hired, but his mother said something's just not right. And when I got involved and I talked to the DA, I was able to show them, you don't have any evidence here. I'm proud to say that 6 months later, both of those charges were dead docketed. That young man now will go on to attend college at Albany State in the spring. The power of the DA is enormous. The power to charge, the power not to charge, but also the power to institute alternative methods of dealing with criminal behavior. Since I became the municipal court judge in Greensboro, now 85% of our cases are resolved by pretrial services. What we do is, for instance, when Georgia had an issue with proving the case, marijuana cases, marijuana possession cases, we didn't wait for the Supreme Court to make a decision. We made a decision not to prosecute those cases to trial. We instituted a pretrial diversion program where individuals are able to go online, complete a drug and alcohol course, and then plead to a conditional discharge. What that means is, for us, over 100 young people were able to avoid having a record for drug possession. That's huge. One of my issues is eliminating the school to prison pipeline. In the last 3 years, I've been aggressively involved with that issue here in Spalding County, where we now have SROs, police officers in the school, who are supposed to be there to protect, but more often than not, they're being used to discipline our children. That's wrong. Kids who 25 years ago would have simply been suspended from school now find themselves being arrested and prosecuted. I currently represent 2 young people now who are facing felony charges because the district attorney has decided to bring charges against them because of an altercation they had with SROs in the school. And that's why we need reform. We also need to go back and reconnect with the community. The DA's office has to become part of the community. Now, we must prosecute violent crime. And I'm not soft on crime. Never have been, never will be. I sat as a judge. But what I understand is that the people who enter our court system, who are not criminals, they're just people who made mistakes. They shouldn't be treated the same way that violent offenders are treated. They should be given the opportunity to make up for the mistake, repay their debt to society, and move on. But one of the biggest issues we have, especially in the African American community, is that we have DAs who engage in prosecuting individuals for cases that really could be resolved without going to court, without having a trial, without having charges follow them for the next 25 years of their life. And finally, as DA, I want to bring in ministers, community organizations that can provide resources for defendants. One of the reasons we have so much recidivism in the criminal justice system is that people don't have access to jobs. That's why many people commit crimes. People don't have access to mental health. People don't have access to drug and alcohol programs. So I would use our accountability courts in a much more substantial way so that we can address those issues.